Coach, how you doing, Coach? Coach, I'll die for you, Coach. I just want you to believe in me. I just want you to believe in me. Let's go to the Lions.
And they basically told me if I'm there, it's a possibility they're going to take me. So I had my phone right next to me, ringer on all the way up. Kept checking it, I was nervous, but when I got that call, it was just, I don't even know how to describe it, the feeling.
The Lions take one of my favorite players in this draft class, Isaac Tesla out of Arkansas. I'm giving this an A+. Almost 6'4", 214 pounds, ran a 4.43 in the combine.
What's going on, guys? It is Aiden Hutchinson.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live, Coach Dan, by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody, woo!
Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I am your host once again, Dan Thornton, and I want to thank you all for joining us here today. Hey, Lions Talk Live, we got equipment issues right before you. Hey, let me try to fix that real quick, and hopefully I didn't mess it up too bad. Maybe it doesn't fall down. And anyway, right though, hey, it's Tuesday morning show edition, and yes, everybody's waiting for tomorrow for the scheduled release. How many primetime games the Lions going to have? How many big-time games? How many matchups or whatever? We're going to debate all that when it comes out. Yes, there could be some news information that comes out later today. We'll have to wait and see. But last night on ESPN, I want to go ahead and thank a few of you guys for sending this over to me. ESPN did a breakdown of what they believe are going to be a couple home run hitters for the Detroit Lions. And I get it's early to project things. It is the off season, so you do have different content creators, whether it's, national media, local media, whatever, trying to fill in some things. But I would like to see both what you guys have to say about their suggestions or thoughts on it, but also when Anthony gets on to ask him about it. I think there's a lot more truth to this breakdown and segment than there is perhaps, question marks with it. So, again, we'll dive into it during the main top of the day, but as you can tell from the thumbnail, ESPN says the Lions have 3. Again, we'll break down into it. This is regards to rookie class. Could it be true that Brad Holmes and the rookies, Brad Holmes and the scouting department have once again struck gold with some of these selections? Hey, we'll see what everybody has to say, but we'll dive into that during the main topic of the day. All right, before we get into the 5 headlines now, before we get into the main topic of the day, you know the drill. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so, making that march for 13,000, excuse me, I'll clear my throat, 800 subs, and we're about 90 subs away, so if you can help out with that, I would be thankful of your efforts in regards to that. Also, if you have a half second of time, it doesn't cost a dime. Reach on down, hit that thumbs up button, hit that like button, hit any button you'd like. Just helps the channel out anytime we get interaction. We try to get on the show between 200, 300, 400 or more thumbs up or likes. If you watch YouTube for any time, anytime somebody hits the like, hits the comments, all that stuff, it helps out a whole lot. So if you can assist with that, I would be thankful. Last but never least, if you are looking perhaps for something to read, go to Amazon.com or wherever you find great reading literature. Order yourself a copy of Kajora Book. It is the first in a 9-part series. Second book releases later this year. It has to deal with Native American, Japanese cultures interconnecting about 1,000 years before Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492. So if you like ninjas, samurai warriors, that kind of stuff, you may want to check it out. Maybe a good read for you. If you like it, leave a kind review. All right, with all that done, said, out of the way, let's get this show rocking and rolling and going. Hey, real quick before we do, though, I do want to take a second and say thank you. I know I mentioned, and I want to say on yesterday's show, a bunch of you guys sent me over some stuff trying to get the correct form of pronunciation down from different Lions rookies. So like Tesla, Hessenin, I think I've got it down pretty decent now, and I do want to thank a number of you guys. Sent over some videos where those guys actually pronounce their names, so I'm going to go with that for now. I get maybe it doesn't make everybody happy, but I'll do what I can to make at least as many people happy as I can. All right, so let's get into now the first segment of the show, and as you know, that is 5 headlines now. One other footnote before we get rolling to these headlines, as you guys know, I like to bring on different personalities onto the show. So like Dan O'Damas, Dan Kuiper, etc. Working on working on another one, maybe to use this week or next week. Trust me, you'll know him when you see him, but I think you guys have some fun with it. It's the off season. Why not roll something fun? Try to catch you guys off guard with some things, but I'm working on it. Was telling Jen about it earlier today, and she was cracking up laughing. So hopefully we make it happen either this week or next week, and everybody have a little bit of laughter or two. Let me tell you, though, if I get into this character, you're getting the entire show with that character because I won't be able to get out of costume fast enough. All right, 5 headlines now. Here we go. DJ Reader named Lions cut candidate. Potential ad for the Cowboys. This is coming from Pro Football Focus, story by Billy Rossetti of Lions Wire. There's been some debate about this, although in my opinion, it's just debate. There's no truth to it in my view. Could be wrong, though. Could the Lions save some money by getting rid of Reader, who's entering the final year of his contract terms with the Detroit Lions? Absolutely. Why would you do it unless you feel like one of those other players, Roy Lopez or somebody else is going to step on in, or maybe that Tyleek Williams is vastly better than anticipated. Maybe Ali McNeil is further along in the healing process from his knee injury than any of us realized. Whatever it is, I think the Lions have a dang good roster this year. We've talked about a lot. We're going to talk a lot more that they just don't really have any holes in there. With Reader out there, I think that line, if you put Tyleek, eventually Aleem, you're going to have Hutch. Yes, Hutch is going to he's going to be fairly close to 100% when the season starts, week 1 of the regular season. But I'm sure there'll be some, desire to keep snaps off him. Any rate, why take Reader off the team unless he's falling off and that you just don't feel like he's who he was a year ago or something like that? He stood up, I thought, pretty dang well for the team. Very consistent. And as a coach, the only thing I can say is I love having consistent players, not ones that are up one game, completely down the next game, just because you never know. It's a flip of a coin what you get that game. Could they be gone? I'm guessing if the Lions did cut DJ Reader, you'd have a ton of different teams trying to sign him quickly. We'll see what shakes out, but I'm not a fan of this move, although I guess it's something for us all to at least consider. Proposed Lions move corrects free agent draft blunders by signing $20 million edge rusher. Story by Mike Moratis of the Sporting News. Is it possible the Lions could still make an addition to the team this year? Yes, I'd say one thing at this point in time with Brad Holmes is he never stops working. He's always looking to put something else on the team, looking for ways to improve the team. I know a bunch of different content creators and people in radio. I want to say 97.1 The Ticket had a segment on this yesterday. But as probably most of you are definitely aware, Trey Hendrickson announced yesterday him and the Bengals haven't had any kind of conversations in any length of time. It's been a while. He's anticipating he's not going to re-sign with the team. He wants out. I think we all get it. He's wanting a new deal. Otherwise, he's not playing. I forget, Mike something or other and Rico Beard. Anyways, they were talking about it. I was at the gym listening to it along with the ESPN segment. And here's what I would say. I think they're both right on a lot of topics with this. And I do think Mike Moranis is correct too. Lions basically have $40 million in cap space still available. Are you in it to win it? Do you really believe in, Marcus Davenport or somebody else at that opposite end spot? Yes, I get Brad Holmes comes out and says, you could have almost done this as the main topic today. I get Brad Holmes says that, Aiden Hudson, he's one of the best edge rushers, pass rushers, what do you want to say, in the NFL. How many teams will he have to? I get that. But you know what? One thing I would agree with the different people I either read their story about or watched them on TV about in this subject. Why not have 2 all-pro guards versus 1? Why not have 2 stud wide receivers instead of 1? Why not have 2 stud defensive ends instead of 1? I think the Lions must really believe in Davenport or some other player to take over that spot opposite Aiden Hutchinson. But to many people's points, if the Lions were able to acquire Trey Hendrickson, 1, your defensive line now looks scary good. The other part is you look at the Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings, the Chicago Bears. If you're not acquiring them, one of them probably are. So would you rather face the guy or have him on your sideline? I guess I'll leave that for the Duke crew to debate. At this point, though, I don't think the Bengals are going to get a whole lot for him. If there's a good side of not doing a trade for him prior to the draft, probably in my anticipation, his demand or the team's demands have now gone down. You might be able to get this dude for like a 5th, 6th, or 7th round pick, somewhere in that range. It's just, you obviously, if you're going to acquire him, you know you've got to give him a paycheck. Again, the Lions still have roughly $40 million in cap space. If you're going to make a move, I would say this is the time to do it somewhere in the next month and a half, because you put him opposite Hutchinson with Williams, with DJ Reader, with Ali McNeil. That defense starts looking pretty dang scary, especially that front four. Let's see what you guys have to say about that one. All right, Detroit Lions signed 3 players from rookie minicamp tryouts. Story by Jeremy Risman, SB Nation. You're going to see some good information here, in my personal opinion. Now, we talked about the Lions having some open spots on the roster. Not so much anymore. At any rate, Malik Taylor, you guys probably know about him. Wide receiver, has been in the league for a few years. Tight end Luke Deal. He will be, the second he signed with the Lions, he is the biggest, and it's not close, tight end on the Detroit Lions roster. I want to say he's like nearly 270 pounds. I mean, he's almost an offensive lineman. And then Raquan Williams, most of you guys know him, played collegiate ball in Michigan, has been in the league, bouncing around for a little bit, etc. All right, so the Lions also waived an undrafted rookie tight end too, Caden Prickstorn. So we'll go from that. In regards to the deal, Auburn University played a program record 64 games with the Tigers, serving as the captain in both 23 and 24. His primary role is going to be a blocker. Like I said, this guy is 6'5.5", nearly 270 pounds, had a pass blocking grade of an 80. That's pretty dang high for a tight end. Not going to spend a lot of time each of the guys. Taylor came from Ferris State University. He's been in the NFL since 2019. He was an undrafted rookie at the time. Spent time with the Buccaneers, Jets, Packers. Made 28 career game appearances, catching 9 passes for 93 yards. So not high production by any stretch of the imagination. One thing, though, with him is he is 6'3", 220 pounds, and at his pro day, when before he went undrafted, etc., ran the 40 in 4.46. So could he be kind of another option for the Detroit Lions, big body wide receiver going down the sidelines? I think we're seeing more and more evidence, exactly what we anticipated John Morton wants to do with this offense going into the year. I think you're seeing more evidence supporting that. I don't know if this kid will make the team. We'll have to wait and see. But I think you get it. The Lions want to get a bigger body person out there. Williams, like I said, you guys probably already know him. He was a Michigan State Spartan, went undrafted in 2020, 6'4", 305 pounds, got a little bit of speed. We'll see if any of these guys ultimately make the 53-man roster, which I'd say it's going to be an uphill battle for all of them. Former Bears defender, a threat to sign with Lions before OTAs. Story by John Afford of Fanside. I think we talked about this maybe a week or two ago, or somewhere not too long ago. But most of you guys are aware DeMarcus Walker was cut by the Bears. He actually had a pretty productive couple seasons with the Bears. For whatever reason, they moved on from him. He's entering the final year of a $21 million deal. The cut saved the Bears roughly a little over $5 million. So I understand why they moved on from him if they didn't think they were getting enough return on that investment. He racked up last year 47 combined tackles, 16 quarterback hits, 7 tackles for losses, and 3.5 sacks in 17 games. Walker also had a 61.3 pass rush grade. That's 94th among 211 edge rushers, and a 62.3 run defense grade. That's 90th per Pro Football Focus. Could the Lions add him? Would he be better than Zadarius Smith? Would he be cheaper than Zadarius Smith? Would they be better to go in one of those records, Smith or Walker, versus trading for Trey Hendrickson? I guess all can be true, all can be false, all can be right or wrong. I'll let the Duke crew be the judge, juries, and executioners on that. But we're probably going to hear a lot more of this kind of stuff for the foreseeable future, just because it is the off season. All right, last of the 5 glorious headlines now. Lions schedule 2025 Detroit win-loss record predictions. This by Nick Brickhoff of USA Today. So let's see what he has to say. Mighty Nick says that the Lions record, as we all know, they're going to be debating it. He's predicting a record of 11-6 in 2025. We get it. Lions had one heck of a run last year at 15-2, and we don't need to spend time on it. They were beat up in the fact they got that record. That's impressive. So he breaks down each of the games. No, I'm not going to go into each of the games. We don't have that kind of time. But you look at the opponents. We all know the opponents at this point, who the home teams, away teams are. Thinks the Lions have a real good shot to once again win the division. I think we'd all probably agree with that. It's It's going to be a battle. I don't think we're going to go undefeated. If we do, great. But as Mighty Nick says, you break down the games one at a time. He thinks you got some teams in the division. They're in flux with new quarterbacks. We get that with Minnesota. Jordan Love, which quarterback he is? He's kind of flip the coin. He's going to be great or he's going to be meh, depending on the game. And then the Chicago Bears, they are kind of the unknown. You see some real talent over there. You got a first-year head coach. Can he be a head coach, first an assistant coach, yada, yada, yada. Lions got to break in John Morton and Kelvin Shepard. So there's a lot of moving parts this season, let alone the division. Lions are going to face a ton of elite quarterbacks, where you could argue last year, maybe they only played 6 or 7 games against elite quarterbacks. I would say this year, it's almost every game you're facing a real stout quarterback and quarterback play. Also why, if it was me, I probably would be looking at adding another pass rusher, just because you look at the list of teams out there. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, let's start with the home games. They've got a pretty good quarterback in Mayfield. Pittsburgh Steelers, I'll leave that to you to debate. Cleveland Browns, hey, I would say that's probably the biggest unknown out there. Same with the Giants. Cowboys, Dak, maybe you like him, maybe you don't. He's a pretty good quarterback. Minnesota, we're going to have to see what JJ does. Packers, Green Bay, already talked about Love. We'll see what game it is. Chicago Bears, Williams, is he going to be the college guy or is he going to be the guy last year? Wait and see. Now, on the road, though, Stafford and the Rams, pretty dang good. Mahomes, I think we'd all say is pretty good. Jackson with the Ravens, pretty good. Bengals, pretty good quarterback play. Same with Philadelphia, Washington. So you get it. You got some real good quarterbacks. If you can go 11 wins, maybe 12 wins this year, I think you've more than done your due diligence on that schedule. All right, with all that done, set out of the way, we've got about 17 minutes until Anthony gets here. So let's get real quick over to the main topic of the day. All right, I'm sure I'm going to get some hate mail for this one, but Mia Kunis, or I think that's how you say her name, over at ESPN. And if I get it wrong, hey, forgive me. I'm not trying to be rude. I just don't always get people's names right. But it is Tesla, or Tesla. So I got that one down finally, I think. Anyways, so she had a group of panelists talking about the Detroit Lions and the rookie class, did a segment on it. And I think there's a lot of truth to this. Now, who knows until these kids get on the field, whether or not they're this, that, or the other thing. But ESPN did say the Lions have three starters. And, per them, they think these 3 are going to start year one. Maybe not every game, but by the end of the year, these 3 players are going to be starters for the Detroit Lions. First, Isaac Tesla, let's go with that. I did say it right there. I see it on my screen. I got it right. So anyways, they do project by the end of the year, he'll be a starter for the Detroit Lions. And the reasons why offered, as I look at the notes, he's a matchup problem. Now, with that being said, in my opinion, this is the coach in me. Tim Patrick's got a lot to say about that. Tim Patrick, it's no disrespect to anybody. He's a pretty good wide receiver, and he's a veteran. He's also probably aware he's got a 1-year deal. He's got a reason to play as good as he possibly can to secure, whether it's with Detroit or somebody else, another contract beyond this. He wants to keep that career going. We all get his story. Came through back-to-back seasons with major knee injuries, and you know what? He's going to be out there playing with a razor-sharp edge about him. Can Tesla, ultimately beat him out? I don't know, but you obviously see all the physical skills with that kid. I think if nothing else for the team, that's great. And we always talk about competition on the show, why I think this rookie class was awesome for that reason, if nothing else alone. Plus, he got more athletic, in my opinion. I think Tesla is going to make Tim Patrick better. Patrick's going to make him better at the end of the day. Lions win. Could he start? I could see it, yes. I could also see it, no. But I think as far as ESPN, they're probably right on him. Now, the first one on the list is Williams. We all get it, man. He does seem like, if he's healthy, the Lions drafted him to be a starter, fill in for Aleem until Aleem gets back, and then wait and see. If nothing else, you're going to have great competition there once again and great rotation. I think Tyreek, you look at him as an individual, let alone a football player. As a coach, you probably got to like just about everything you're seeing there. I do think he's going to be a day one starter for us. Who knows? Maybe it's week 2 where he starts. Maybe the Lions just want to go with a veteran presence in there, Roy Lopez or somebody else, maybe Adams or somebody, and give him a little bit more time to develop. but I think sooner versus later, Tyreek Williams is going to be a starter. The last one, probably a big eyebrow raise here, but Tate Ratledge. This guy's impressive, and you're getting more and more reports about the rookie camp, how they moved him all around, played him have, left guard, right guard, center, got a ton of snaps at center. What we can say is you watch him on film, you watch him in person, you see a lot of corroborating information with the eye test there, and he moves people. He's not polite about it. What do you want in an offensive lineman? You want somebody who throws elbows, gets after you, pushes guys to the ground, and finishes the play. Get on him, lay him down, take him out of the equation. Now you add in his athleticism, sort of like Williams, sort of like Tesla, that you get him moving all around the board. These guys are athletic and they're problems for people. I think ESPN ultimately, at the end of the day, is probably right. Now, with that being said, I think there's probably a fourth option too, and that's Dan Jackson. I think he'll be a starter, but on special teams. So I guess you're splitting hairs if you want to actually count that as a starter, but it is one of the three units. I'll say this, or ask this to the Duke crew. Going back before the draft, how many of you would say that, hey, the Lions could potentially have 3 or 4 starters out of this year's draft class? And I would say most of us, if not all of us, would say, yeah, that's not happening. This team's too deep. It's too good. There's no way rookies, sort of like the year before, are going to come in and earn starting spots. I'm not so sure this year. And this doesn't even mention Miles Frazier, who I think in time, maybe not his rookie year, but in time will probably be a starter for the Detroit Lions. Think about this. We all get Howie Roseman gets tons of credit nationally, locally, YouTube committees or whatever, saying that, man, he's the best GM in all of football. And he deserves his flower. He deserves his statues, all that stuff. But if Brad Holmes once again strikes gold with 3 or 4 starters in this class, considering how late in the draft we're picking, plus the fact that we made all those trades, do you feel better about Brad Holmes? Does this add to the lore and the overall viewpoints of Brad Holmes? Or do you think ESPN's full of it? All of them can be true. There's no right or wrong answer. Just let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And as always, be respectful of each other. All right, we got about 8 minutes until Anthony pops on. So let me slide on over to the top of the screen and see what the Duke crew has to say this morning. JDC, morning all. Back at you. Bo, good morning, Duke crew. Worldwide, one pride. Hey, I see what you did there. Exclamation point. Woo! And I like it. Moonscar, good morning. Duke crew starting lineup. Back at you, my friend. Good to see you as always. Johnny, good morning to everyone here and back at you. Hopefully it's a great day where you are, Johnny. Any more? Good morning, Coach Dan and the Duke crew. What a team. What a podcast. What a time to, what an exciting time to be a Lions fan. I'll go with that and thank you for that, Henry. Thank you very much. Henry, woo! What's up, everybody? Question mark. Top of the morning to you and back at you, my friend. Non-laughers, good morning, Dan and Duke crew starters. And as always, same to you. Both, 3 Musketeers or Amigos? Ooh, that's a good question. I'll let you inform me. Trey, what's going on, Duke crew? Question mark. Good morning to everyone. And what's with the show today? 3 what? 3 rookie potential starters. So we'll see. And again, I think there could be a fourth if you want to count Dan Jackson or a couple of the guys that potentially start on special teams. And I know that doesn't get talked about a lot, probably doesn't get enough respect from fans. But let me tell you, you need a good special teams just like you need a good offense and defense, because if you stink at that, teams will take advantage of it. Trey, Bo Booth, laughing out loud, maybe. Johnny, all I know is that we did draft some stuff. I think so too. Some of them may take some time for their window of opportunity to get here, but there's nothing wrong with that. It just means you're a deeper team. See, Jess, greetings, salutations, Duke crew. Coach, you have some of the honest haters out there. Some guy got into it with me in the comments section because Skipper's woo bothers him. Laughing out loud. I was laughing like, what the Frank's hot sauce. Hey, some people like some stuff, some people don't. It's odd to me. Some people don't like Mountain Dew, but yet there are people that do. I just say, man, be respectful. That's all I ask is if you get into it with somebody, just do it in a respectful manner, not don't be rude about anything. Trey, Johnny, talking about draft picks. Yes, correct. Drake, in your opinion, this rookie group could be way better than most of us first saw. Yeah, I get opening day, or excuse me, when the draft happens, there were a lot of people that just, throwing sticks at TVs or whatever, just being upset with stuff because we all basically been force-fed, mock draft this, mock mania that. Lions need to get an edge rusher, and I would agree that if you could get Trey Hendrickson or somebody else, that would be good. But the other side of that can also be true that, maybe you didn't feel like the pick value was there for a particular player. So instead of forcing it, let's just get somebody who we feel will impact the team. And in my opinion, that's what the Lions did. They went out and got the best players available at that spot. Johnny L, Trey, yes, exclamation point, or excuse me, thumbs up. Steve, good morning, coach and crew. ESPN finally got it right. The writer from The Athletic that gave us an F forgot that Fs are for GMs that are not prepared. Brad is always prepared. Go Lions. Woo! And Steve, I think that's very well said, even though I kind of murdered it. I think he did a great job with that, 100%. And I think you're right. I think give it a season or two. Who knows, man? Maybe ESPN's right. Maybe at some point this particular upcoming season, the Lions really do have, 2 or 3 starters out there, maybe whatever. But I think in time, we're all going to look back and go, you know what? Brad Holmes was right once again. Kerry, good morning. Good morning, crew. Scheduled time. Hey, good to see you here. Stephanie, good morning, boys. Exclamation point. I seen the segment on this at the gym last night. Maya did a pretty good job breaking down the selections. Seems too early to talk about rookies starting. It does, but again, take it with a grain of salt, as I always like to say. It is the preseason. You're trying to fill up time on air. And let's be honest with ESPN or any network, you got 24 hours you got to fill. And so, I know sometimes I get people that text me or message me about Woodward Sports and that, man, they talk about the same topics. Well, understand this. You got 18 different segments on that show, different crews. I think they do a pretty good job. And just like I think a lot of people do a good job with stuff. But when you have different groups, people want to talk about a topic, it's going to come up over and over again, especially in the offseason. So it happens. All right, Bo, my first thoughts are hilarious laughter at the reactions to Brad's selections. Best to sit back and wait before inserting foot in mouth. I like the way you're thinking. Foot and mouth disease. France, yes, he does. Jesslyn, I think some of it comes from other YouTubers. How's the training coming? Stephanie Water, we'll find it out. Stephanie, I'll put it this way. When I get home, I'm asleep before too long. I get that, man. Yeah, being worn out. So hopefully it's all going well. And don't wear out yourself, man. You got, a family to protect and a job. Atlanta Hunt, good morning. I have a blood draw, so I will be watching late. Have a great show. Skip the Bears, I'm guessing FTP. All right. Well, have a good time getting the blood drawn, and hopefully it goes well. Clark, yo, everyone's schedule comes out tomorrow. Will we get any leaks today? I'm going to guess the NFL is going to leak a few games. Whether the Lions are involved in those leaks, who knows? But I think to your point, yes, we'll get some leaks. Robert, greetings and salutations. Back at you. Mike the Marine Gunny, howdy, Dan and Do Crew, pronounced Do Crew. All right, laughing out loud. We love Lions Talk Live. Woo! And I love being here with you guys. So hopefully that, is a symbiotic relationship. But Big Eddie, greetings and salutations. I'm torn if I want us to face a primetime matchup week 1 just because of our new OC and DC. I get it. But at some point, you're going to have to face someone. Probably the best situation for the Lions is if you get week 1 against maybe like the Cleveland Browns or something like that. Somebody that you could probably just run over and you get an extra, a little bit of training before you face a big game. We'll see what the NFL does to the Lions. But, man, if you could somehow get 1 or 2 of your weaker games right off the bat, get going 2-0, get the new OC and DC out there, get the younger guys playing, get a little bit closer to a Lee McNeil returning, all that would be great. 5 fingers ready, laughing out loud. Good one, Mike the Marine. And I would think a game or 2 will leak today. Yes, I would agree with that. Bo, we have a young but experienced team. I don't think they forgot how to play just because they have new coordinators. Correct. I'd say, Gary, just win, baby. Just win. I like the way you're thinking. Voltron Forest, Duke Crew, what say you? Question mark. I am feeling an 11-win season. With this schedule, that would be impressive. Yeah, I can see us getting over from 10 to 13 wins, somewhere in that range. JDC, Puff, woo, coffee, and Lions Talk Live. I got to love it. Steve Susan Scott, good morning. Our team is pretty young, but so many of the players have been on the field for years now. I think we're just hitting our prime. Yes, we could be prime time ready, if you get what I'm saying. Pat Maya, or whatever her name is on ESPN, I thought is right with the players she talked about. Why would they impact the team and how quickly? Good segment finally from her. I'll go with that. Yeah, I don't watch ESPN a ton. Sometimes I watch it at the gym, just because it's on all the TVs right in front of you at Planet Fitness. So, yeah, I just happened to catch it. JDC, go Lions, go Tigers, go everybody. So there is a bad Detroit. Is there a bad Detroit team right now? Question mark. I don't know. It feels kind of like they're all on the upswing. Yeah, I would say right now you'd have to agree. Detroit sports are all kind of in a renaissance golden era. What do you want to say? They're doing pretty dang well. Johnny, Lions Talk Live is the best ever, and kudos to Coach Dan. You know what? The Dew Crew is the best ever. That's what makes it work. JDC, woo! I'm back at you. Kurt, I haven't been able to watch much about the team since the playoff loss. I guess it's time for me to go over it. Hey, man, I know a lot of people feeling a certain way. Like, I'll put it this way. I know when the season ends, how emotionally draining it can be on people, because usually within 48 hours, I'll lose like a ton of subscribers. And talking to other content creators, kind of the same thing. Just people want to check out. They get upset, and so I get it. But how about this? Welcome back, my friend. Welcome back. All right, guys, it's about that time to bring forth the man, the myth, and the legend. So you know him, you love him. He's the host of the most. He's the guy in a different time zone than me, definitely. Let's go over to Anthony at Roar Lions UK. Anthony, are you drinking your morning dew as prescribed by a doctor?
You know it, Dan, always. It's good to see you. Hope you are doing well. Hope the Dew Crew are doing well. Hope everyone is great over there.
I hope you are too, man. So let's dive into this. I know I got you for about 15 minutes, so I'll make it worth your time, hopefully. ESPN put out a segment yesterday talking about the Lions rookie class, how they feel. There's potentially 3 starters in this lineup as far as somewhere during their rookie year. You hear that. What are your initial thoughts?
I mean, you just never know, do you? I mean, it's the weird thing about the draft. You know, starters can come from day 1, starters can come from day 3. You don't know how the season's going to shake out. Are there going to be injuries, which are going to give opportunities to players earlier than we might think? You know, is a player just going to play stupidly well over the summer and force his way into the start of the season? There's a lot of variables involved. All I know this will be based off the fact that, you know, you look at where we've drafted guys. 2 guards. Well, we need guards for next season to start, potentially 2 of them. You know, Tesla's in not the deepest wide receiver room in the world. Dan Jackson's in not the deepest safety room in the world. So the odds are there are going to be opportunities there for these guys to go out and get themselves starting spots. So, you know, potentially, absolutely, they could, given needs, where we've drafted at. So, yeah, I could see a situation where that happens. Ideally, there is a situation where it might not, but that might not be a bad thing either.
Right. Yeah, I think, man, if you can, especially earlier in the season, if you can get some veteran players who've been there, done that out in the field, that probably forces the rookies a little bit more time to develop, forces them to go through some of the motions and not just get out there so quickly. But let's go through the list. You know, first one, Tyleik Williams. What do you think of this kid? He was limited, very limited in rookies, mini camp. But what do you think ultimately is the plan for this guy? Do you think he's a week 1 starter in the NFL, or are they going to rotate him in?
I think you use them as a rotation. You do with your D tackles. You always rotate. I don't think there's such a thing as a true starter at D tackle. I think you rotate them in, out, here, there, and everywhere. But ideally, no, he doesn't. When we started this process with Brad, our guys had to start day 1 because we had no talent on this team. But the point of being a good drafting team is you can bring them into a situation where you don't need to start on week 1. And, you don't need to start Tyleik week 1 here, even with Aleem hurt. Obviously, DJ Reader is going to be your main guy in there. He's coming off, he's got a healthy off season, which is great for us. Should be much better than he was last year. People seem to have, thought that Levi's like gone off the end of the world or something and doesn't exist anymore. He was one of our best D tackles last year. Certainly improved. He's got the year here. He's going to play plenty there. You've brought Gio Lopez in for a reason to come anchor that nose tackle role. You've got a good room of depth there where you don't have to expose Tyleik Williams from day 1. And that's the best way to get these guys in, is to slowly rotate them in rather than just stick them in there. Obviously, if he earns it during the offseason and plays incredibly well, then fine. But we've got good depth at D tackle right now, even with Aleem injured. So, no, I don't think he does need to start day 1, and it's not the worst thing in the world if he doesn't.
So let's also mention they talk about Tesla. So they talked about him maybe middle of the year, later in the year, coming on in, unless he just really shows up at the camp. We all get it. Tim Patrick, he's been through it in the NFL, tons of injuries. Last year had a bit of a renaissance to his career. Do you think that perhaps he holds off Tesla, or do you think Tesla at some point during the year supersedes him?
You would think that maybe at some point during the season he'll get in there. Obviously, I think you want Tim Patrick to start. With Tesla being as raw as he is, again, sticking him out there first thing is probably, for me, not the best thing in the world you do for him. You rotate him in gradually, and that's what you do with these guys. That's what you do with your rookies. Rotate them in gradually. Don't just stick them in a starting role and let them go from there. That's the great thing about having the depth we do here. Having Tim Patrick allows us just to bring him in a bit slower, and you don't need to use him day one. You can create packages for him, do whatever the hell you want. But I think the plan. I think it would have been the plan with any X receiver we got. We won't have Patrick here this time next year. Probably the idea would be to blood them in as the season goes on, get your new X receiver for the future, and by the end of the year, him be starting. So I think regardless whether it was Tesla, when it was any of the other guys, that would have always been the plan to get him in by the end of the year.
The last one they mentioned was Ratledge. And I think when we saw the selection, 99% of Lions fans said, yeah, he's got a real good shot at starting. Do you think Glasgow holds them off? Do you think ultimately it's just going to be Mahogany and Rat Pack, whatever you want to say? Who do you think ultimately wins that other guard spot?
I'm not sure. See, I'm a big fan of not messing around with your offensive line too much. I would rather Glasgow play this year with Mahogany and get that contract out the way and then bring Ratledge in next year, or rotate Ratledge in this year. But for now, the plan should be to get Mahogany embedded into this side as a starter, and you can do that better by having 4 of the starters on the line next to him. Obviously, you've drafted Ratledge in the second round, and I think he will be a starter here for a very long time. I would just prefer to do one guard at a time rather than go with 2 rookie guards. Or the other option is it's Ratledge and Glasgow, and I don't want that. I want Mahogany in this team. I think
Right.
He deserves to be in this team. And I don't want to mess with his development just to shoehorn in another guy we've got. So it certainly could get in there. I don't know how it does, but I'd rather it just be one guy to start with, and it's be Mahogany, and then again work Ratledge in as you go.
One of the stories that we had in the 5 headlines now, this has been on a couple area radio shows yesterday. I think there might have been some stuff out there in the national media as well. Trey Hendrickson comes out and says, hey, I haven't had conversations with the Cincinnati Bengals in whatever he said, months or whatever. He wants out. Do you feel like there's any possibility the Lions, pull the trigger and make a trade for Trey Hendrickson?
I think the ship has sailed with something big like that. I think they've just shown that there's no desire to do that whatsoever. And the trouble we have now, you're talking about draft compensation for him. What is he worth? The trouble, this Tesla deal has kind of screwed us because we've lost all our 3s next year. If you go and say, we'll take a 2 for Trey Hendrickson, yeah, that's great value for him. But then you've got a first-round pick next year, and then you're not picking till the 4th round into the 120s. You're going to mess up next year's draft. You'll have to trade back, and it's going to affect your ability to make plays there. So I don't think so. And again, it's the issue of the money. I mean, personally, if it was me, because I want to go for it, I would get him as a rental. I would trade for him, give him a big ass 1-year contract, and then trade him again and take a shot at it. But Brad doesn't do that. That's not the way it works. I think right now it'll be Zadarius or Judon or someone like that who we're going to get. I don't foresee the big trade happening now, no, because Trey Hendrickson rightly wants to get paid an absolute bag. He deserves it. And I don't know if we can fit it into our expenditure.
One question I have with Hendrickson, and it'd be interesting to see what you have to say, and then anybody in the Duke crew wants to throw their thoughts in there. Why hasn't a team been able to pull off a trade for him? All right, is the NFL saying he's not worth the contract? The Bengals just holding out for too much? But you see a talent like him sitting there and saying he's going to sit out the season if he doesn't get what he wants. What do you think? Why do you think somebody hasn't acquired him yet?
I think it's the fact that they don't want to trade him. It was like the Browns with Miles, even though he said he wanted to go. They had no desire to do it. And listening to it from Trey's point of view, like apparently that team has made him promises which they have not delivered on. So obviously they've said, we'll sort this. He's gone about his business. He's carried on playing to a high level, and it's gotten to that time now, and they've not upheld their part of the deal. So I don't think this says anything about the player. I think the player's been, loyal to them, as, been part of his word. I think the Bengals are just a shitty organization. You can tell that with all their rookies holding out a mini camp right now. because they won't give them injury protections, like the full protections for their contracts. So I think they're a bad organization who treat their players poorly. And they've not been willing to deal him so far. I think they'll be asking for way too much. They've got no leverage now. That contract's running out. They're going to need to get him out of there. The price is going to have to go down. So I would expect you'll see movement on it over the summer now, especially. So no, I don't think it says out about the player. No one's traded for him yet. I think it's the team.
Rookie camp's over. We all get that. Ahmed Hassanin, it sounds like he performed very well at rookie camp. People are all, talked about his hustle, desire, passion, running through walls, whatever you want to say, coachability. He seems to become a little bit of a mythological creature, this guy, since the day he was drafted. The video comes out. Is the hype train just out of control with this guy? Do you think there's any validity to what he can become? Or do you think we should all take a deep breath and just step back and say, hey, this guy's probably going to need a season or two to develop?
I think people need to step back about this rookie class all told, not just Hassanin. I don't mean that in a bad way, but the amount of gassing up some of these guys and you're putting unfair expectations on their shoulders. Like the stuff I see about Tesla, I think he'll be great eventually, but people just like, oh, he's going to rip it day one. He's going to be a monster this year. We're going to be crazy. Well, what if he doesn't? What if he has a quiet first month and doesn't get many catches? Then you're going to get content creators going, oh my God, he's a bust. We gave up all these picks for him. He's terrible. People turn like that. You build them up and they can't deliver. He's a 6th round pick. He's going to take time to adapt to this league. It's not going to be an easy process for him. And there's going to be a lot more lows than ups before he gets to where he wants to go. And we've got to back him through that. And if everyone just builds up these sky high expectations, that's not fair on the player. Like we need to let these rookies, all of them, including Tyleek, including Tesla, we just need to let them come here, integrate into this team, and work their way in. Let's not build up these grandiose statements that they're going to be starters, they're going to be world beaters year one. That time has gone for us, when these guys came in and did well right away because of the situations where you're drafting them. So, we just need to hit the brakes. It's great that he's happy and that, but, we want to win a Super Bowl out there. We've got to go out there and win. And, they need to be playing at the height of the powers before they get in this team. So, I'm looking forward to seeing him. I am, but let's just pump the brakes a bit. Let's just let him develop at his pace and bring him in when he's ready, because that is what will be best for him. Let's not just stick the expectations up there and then have him disappoint us. That's not his fault.
So when it comes to the schedule, we all get it. It's coming out tomorrow. Maybe we get some information today. Maybe we don't. But if you had to pick right now, who would be an ideal opponent for the Lions to open up with? Who do you want us opening up the 2025/26 season?
The Bears. I want to put them mouthy so-and-sos in their place. There's a lot of chatter around the NFC North now. People think that Dan's vulnerable. Now he's lost Ben and Aaron. And the amount of disrespect that's getting shown towards Dan is incredible. Like, people seem to think that, he's been babysitted by his coordinators and they're the reason his teams are so great. People don't realize the team is so great because of Dan. And I think that we need to keep on sending the message out there to the NFC North that we are better than them. And we need to keep stomping them down. You've seen Dan's record against the division. It's incredible, especially given the amount of losses he took in year one when he had the worst team in the NFL. Like, you remove Dan's year one out of the equation, that record gets even better. With a semi-competitive team, he's owned each and every single team in our division. But the Bears are the ones who just keep mouthing off again and again and again. They've got Ben. I saw that clip that's going viral yesterday of them saying that they, talent-wise and coaching-wise, are the best team in the NFC North now. And I'm just like, really? Even you can't believe that? Surely you can't. But we'll teach you this lesson again. We'll do it on prime time in front of the world. We'll put you down. We'll show how dominant you are. I want to send that message out there nice and early. It'd be nice at home as well. Week 13, we had to wait last year till we got an NFC North home game, which is ridiculous. So, yeah, give me them, and let's just absolutely beat the brakes off them.
All right, then one other question. I know last year a lot of us weren't happy that the Lions had, whatever it was, a week 4 or 5, their bye game. Do you think this year the Lions get something more the middle or latter part of the season? Where would you think would be an ideal time for the Lions to get a bye week?
I mean, as late as physically possible would be ideal, but I saw I think it was Jeremy at Pride of Detroit tweeted out the other day or something like the last 10 years, our bye week has been week 6 or earlier 6 or 7 times, something like that. Like history is against us in terms of the buys. It's not very friendly, so I'd fully expect them to screw us over again and have it at week 4 or something. But for the Lions, you need it as close to the middle of the season as possible just to break it down. Especially, we're going to have guys like Aleem and Rodrigo coming back at that time of the year. And, you want to give the team a break, give them a chance to ramp up their training, give them a bit more of a window, have them available for more games. And we don't want the team beaten up going into the playoffs again like they were last year. Just 14 straight games or 13 straight games or whatever it was before the playoffs last year. It showed the brand of football we play. So I'm praying that it's week 10, 9, certainly no earlier than week 7. Like anything after that, I'll take as a little win because at least it gives us a chance then, especially with how many players we've had knocked around.
All right, last question, and then I'll let you get on to your day because I know, hey, as always, you got other stuff to do, but I always thankful for the time you are here. If you have any worries about the Lions, either offensively, defensively, coaching-wise, what's one area of concern you think you'd like them to address or work on before the start of the season?
I mean, I believe in this team fully. I think we've got the personnel to do it. I think we've got the coaching to do it. For me, and I don't know how to explain this, but like this year, we really need to be moving back towards the Super Bowl. Like, is the grit still there? Is that ability? Because we've had this team have always bounced back from hard scenarios. Every time they've hit a curve, they've bounced back with it. But like that was our first major setback last year, losing so early to the Commanders. This year for me is really going to be telling about just how much the grit culture is going to stand up and whether we can get back there, back to where we are, back to where the Super Bowl is. And, is the team capable of it? Especially with all the youngsters getting paid and, more and more, is the desire still there? Is the ability to do it? And I'm just worried we get bounced in the playoffs early again this year. And then all of a sudden we've hit a wall or something. That's my worry. For me, this year, screw any records, any person. We broke all the records last year. We got this. I don't care if we get 8 or 9 wins and we sneak into the playoffs by the hair of our chinny chin chin. If we go and win the damn thing, I don't care how we do it. I don't care about the flashy stuff anymore. I want us to go and tangibly do something. And can we do that? I believe we can. But I just got that little worry in the back of my head that, we're heading backwards, just after last year. It just plays on you a little bit. But as far as the team and the personnel goes, I've got no issues. There's so few holes on this team. We one of the best offenses in the league. We always will be. Which is fit again. The team is healthy. So just fingers crossed.
All right, you heard it here first. Anthony saying it's Super Bowl or bust for the Detroit Lions. I love it, brother. All right, hey, as always, thanks for coming over on the show. Why don't you go ahead and give yourself a shout out to everybody where they can find you, help support your work, and your phenomenal, content that you put out there. So.
Yeah, you can find me at Roar of the Lions UK. We're a group of Detroit Lions fans from across the pond. So if you want to come and check out your Lions news and views from a British perspective, then drop by and say hi. We're live on Monday evenings. I talk college ball on Wednesdays usually. So yeah, just come check in if you want to. As always, appreciate you, Dan. Appreciate the Dew crew. Hope you all have a fantastic day. We are currently at 4 weeks without rain where I am at the minute. It's just been sunny for time immemorial and it shows no sign of going down. So I'm going to go enjoy the sun again. I've got a right tan on me at the minute. So going to go and enjoy that. But hope you're all well and take care.
You too, man. And thanks for coming on, Anthony.
Hey, no worries. See you all soon.
We'll see you then. All right, Duke Crew, we got a couple more comments here. We got a couple more minutes, and then we'll get out of here. Sarge Gibbs scored last season, once or twice, maybe. Hookadoo, when the Thunder roars, there you go. Frank the Tank, that's who I want. First game, Chicago Bears played the second game. I want Philadelphia after we beat their butts. Everybody can shut the hex up. Go Lions. I'm down with that. So here's my thought. If you're going to play Chicago week 1, I'm okay with it. It'd be even better to me if you could play in Chicago, just because you get that game out of the way early in the season while the weather's still good. Pierce, week, 8 through 13, best time for a bye. We'll go with that. Week 8 through 13. Central Scrutinizer, I'd like to see the Commanders in week 1. Might happen. Could happen. Gary, nobody should be put expectations on the rookies. Let them develop. And they'll develop in time for sure. They'll see if they can supersede expectations or if they'll need some time to grow. JDC, woo! Coffee, yum. Hey, sounds good to me. Walt made a live show. Woo! Hey, good to see you as always, my friend. One of the OG Duke Crew members. Frank Tink, I thought Tesla, I couldn't play the X receiver. Laughing out loud. Funny how everybody turns their head after. Correct with that. Dr. Troy, yeah, my coffee is hitting too. Gotta love the coffee. I love to do them. Central Scrutinizer, how many flex games? Question mark. I can see changes in game times again. If the Lions really Central do have a strong season, and we all get it, they're basically, we can all universally say they are America's team at this point. I can see a lot of the games in the last quarter of the season, if they don't have a primetime game that week, getting flex just to get them in. Again, we talked about it ad nauseum. I know, Amazon Prime wants them on, Netflix wants them on, Fox, ABC, NBC, ESPN. Everybody wants to show Detroit Lions games because of all the talent, all the stars, all the personalities, and the fact that it's still hard for me to say this, but in the last half decade, name a team better than the Detroit Lions. There ain't many. I think there's like 2 or 3 record-wise. All right, Frank, if you think the NFL is fixed, you should watch. Your mind's already made up. Fair enough. You shouldn't watch. There you go. Gary, I wish they would give us Chicago at Chicago first week. Agreed. And hey, me too, man. I do like that idea. Frank, thanks for laughing. Phil, good morning. Back at you, Phil. Not sure who the photo is, but hey, good stuff. Frank, think this guy is mad because they took Tesla and traded 3 round picks. Sorry, Ant-Man, but you need to come down to reality, brother. All right, fair enough. Frank, think the Detroit Lions made any kind of trade, it will be at the trade deadline, and I'm sorry for you, Z-lovers. I do not think he'll be back. Dan Campbell does not play games. All right, I'll go with that. James, no rain in the UK? Wow, yeah, I think Ant-Man said like for a little over a month, like 6 weeks or something like that. Frank the Tank, you want to play here, you need to practice full-time. I'll go with that. Frank Zappa, thank you for that. I thought they looked familiar. Terrence, hey, good to see you, Terrence. Been a hot second. Frank Zappa, there you go. All right, guys, Bo, Frank Zappa. Oh, yeah, Phil, there we go. Keith, NBA is fixed. I did see, for those that don't know, that I was explaining this right before we went to bed to Jen last night about the trade, how they got rid of, Luka, and now they were rewarded with the number 1 pick. What was the percentage chance? Like 1.9% chance of the Dallas Mavericks getting the number 1 overall pick. They got it. The only thing I can say is there's always a chance. So it happened. Dallas Mavericks, you add Flag to that, Cooper Flag to that, along with the other players they have. They might be able to make a run, but hey, that's a different show, not this one. JDC, Domino Hunt, there you go. Oops, JDC, Happy Trails goes Lions victory. Here's Johnny 2.0. Dan Campbell has been lenient with veterans. Z might make it back. We'll have to wait and see. Keto was less than 5%. Yeah, I think it was 1.9, if I'm not mistaken. Bo, Happy Trails, Duke Crew, see ya. Smoke you some, it's 100% rigged. Hey, you never know, man. Let's see, Keto, less than 5%. Correct that. Phil, Zick running encrusted tweezers. There you go. All right, guys, I'll go ahead and get out of here. If there is breaking news later today, like if a game leaks that the Lions are going to play or whatever, I'll get it over to you as soon as possible. Otherwise, have a great day. Be a good human being. Do something kind for someone you don't know. Hit that like, hit that subscribe buttons if you would before checking out. You know what? Have a great one, and we'll see you guys all in the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody. You're still here? What are you doing here? It's over. The show's over. Go home.